Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Double checking to make sure that the sound is good. Good afternoon, good afternoon, all right. Good afternoon. We're rocking and rolling. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Wednesday night. And some people say it's time to get a little fuel in your body to kind of make it through the rest of the week. But I'm glad that I'm able to be here, and I'm super excited that we have Sister Jada with us here again. And I really believe that she's really enjoying the talks and trying to make a difference and change in what's going on in the church and trying to get more of the youth involved. And that's very important. And I'm trying to make sure, once again, that this is ready to be shared and is out there, and we can do that before I get started. Are you seeing it yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, hold on one second. So it's live. Okay, I see what's going on. It's locked. I don't know how it keeps doing that. Give me a second. Edit privacy. There we go. Make it public. There we go. There we go. We should be ready to get it back going in just a second because we wasn't public. Come on, computer. No dice? I don't know where you went to. Hold on. It still should be ready because it's not locked now. Let me try it again. So just shared it. Bear with me for a minute. I don't know what's going on with the internet right now. I'll tell you what, let me do this. Let me stop it and come back. Come on, let's start again. It's public, so it should be seen now. We may have to look on my page. Let me see.
Okay.
You still don't have it?
I can see it on your page.
Okay. Okay. We just have to share it from there. I'm not understanding why it's not playing the other way. Nonetheless, we're gonna continue. We're gonna push on and get started. Again, good. Thank you for joining us. As we all know, technical difficulties will try to slow you down and cause you to just say, you know what, we're going to cut this off, but we're not having it. There's a connection between the mind, body, and spirit. It's very important that we build up our spiritual health. For me, I used to spend time in the mornings when I work out, reading, listening to music that would give me clarity, understanding, something to feel good about myself. When I did that, my days would turn out better. Um, Things would seem to click. I would eat cleaner. I would be more apt to drinking more water because that workout in the day, it seemed like it just got me going. Um, but then when I fell off, I started feeling a difference. And that difference, I was like, man, something is not right, and I just got to get back to where I need to be. And so I've been getting back to my meditation in the morning, my workout in the morning, so that I can be a better me for a better you. First Chronicles 22:19 says, now prepare yourself mentally and emotionally to follow the eternal one, your God. Go and build the temple of the eternal God so you may bring the covenant chest of the eternal to rest there and take the holy vessels of God into his house for us to use in sacrifice. Not only should we tend to ourselves, we got to make sure that our partners, our friends, our family members are taking care of themselves as well. Um, because if not, everyone will start to suffer, bodies will deteriorate, you will get sick, and you just won't know what's going on with yourself. Last 2 weeks ago, before Thanksgiving, we had a really good discussion. In the discussion, we talked about dating in the new world, new age. And that was a very, 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 very interesting topic. We had a good conversation, learned some things, and I hope that those that watched and listened to it also did the same thing. Today, we kind of wanted to stick with, relationships and, dating relationships, building bonds, and we want to talk about destructive relationships. And as we think about destructive relationships, I don't want you to think that anything that we say about relationships mean, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, but relationships is anything. Friends, family, co-workers, anybody you build a relationship with, these are some of the things you need to look out for when we talk about destructive relationships. And in that, we will link our discussion about dating in the new age, some signs that people can look out for, pay attention to when they're dating someone in this new age that can cause them to end up blowing their head gaskets or seeing that this is not something that I need, not the direction I want to go. Just being destructive. What are the destructive relationships? Why do you stay in destructive relationships? And why do we end up in the same unsatisfying relationships as we continue out through our life? And there are so many different factors that cause us to stay in the same relationships. Um, to stay close to the things that we feel comfortable in. And you may say, why would someone feel comfortable in a crazy relationship? Well, it's what they know. And sometimes what they know just gives them that comfort. And that comfort, it's so peaceful to them, they just continue to go back. And we can sit here and say, well, why would you do that? It makes no sense. Well, sometimes we don't understand what's actually going on inside of a person's head that causes them to want to continue in that. And who am I to say that? Who am I to say that I'm wrong for judging them, or I'm right for judging them, or I should tell them how to live their life when it comes down to being in a destructive relationship? But that's what we're here for. We're here to try to give you some tips and some pointers on how to deal with those things and not just stay in unhealthy relationships, because it will cause you just so much grief.
Yeah.
Jada, I know that we talked about dating in the new age, and how you felt about first, second dates, places to go, and how they made you feel with parents, and some of the things that you wanted to express to other young women that are dating, to give them some pointers. And how do you feel about a destructive relationship?
I've been in a couple. Not just like boyfriend, girlfriend, but also friendships.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes we stay in those relationships because one, we don't know any better,
Mhm.
or we might be like that's what we grew up seeing.
Right.
And then another thing is with friendships, I know if you don't have any more friends, it's easy to just say, I'll just deal with it.
Yeah.
They are always like this, or that's just how they are, kind of making excuses for people because that's really all you have.
So with you being, as they say, a PK's kid, growing up in the Church of God in Christ, do you think that has impacted good or negative or positive on your relationships?
I would just say it didn't really,
Okay.
because I didn't see. I guess when you're in a church, like one, it might have kind of negatively impacted because, oh my gosh, I had to come up with some excuses on why I couldn't go places.
Yeah.
And because we was at church, and I didn't want to tell people, oh, I can't go to the game Friday. We got Bible study, or we in revival. So I mean, maybe that, but other than that, not really.
So there's as I was studying, there was a word that came up, and it was emotional enmeshment. Emotional enmeshment. And what it is, it causes confusion and exhaustion in your relationships. What it is exactly what you were saying. People just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what's going on. They don't know how to have a healthy relationship. They don't understand how to get out of it, the causes, and what they need to do to create boundaries. And when you don't create a boundary, then you will cause problems. And in talking about the boundaries, these boundaries can be created in mother and daughter. Mm-hmm. And some of those boundaries can really be crossed because some of them tend to get real close.
Yeah.
And then when they get real close, something happens, then they get further apart. As well as women and their sons. Mm-hmm. Because there's some that try to create their son to be the perfect man that they want.
Yeah.
And then it creates a bond between them. That child really don't understand, but it causes him to want to fulfill that missing link for his other parent. Yeah. And now that's all he knows is how to, as they say, mama's boy, that's all he knows is how to take care of, mama. Mm-hmm. And in dating and thinking about dating and a mama's boy, how does that work?
It's a no.
It's a no?
It's absolutely no. Because I'm not your mama. And well, but honestly, it's the same as girls with daddy issues.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I'm not going to be biased, but it's the same thing. And a lot of times people do not figure out how to deal with those issues before they get in relationships. So it's just a whole bunch of confusion, and the other person that's in a relationship trying to make up for what you lost, and they're trying to fill a void that they never will because you don't even know what you need, how to express what you need, or like you don't know what boundaries to set because you just don't really know what you want.
So it coming and I like to express this because we try to tie things into the church and natural life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you were taught boundaries?
No.
So what is something that we can do? And I'm talking about me as a parent, leaning forward. What is something that we can do to help teach and create, understand boundaries to the youth?
Well, the first relationship we had is with our parents or our siblings, and we are not taught that we can create boundaries within our family.
Right.
Like, you just got to put up with them because that's your family. Well, you really don't.
Okay.
Yeah, you're my family, but I can love you from afar. And a lot of people do not teach that to their kids. They have to deal with a lot of unnecessary stuff just because or for the sake of family. And it really shouldn't be that way. So I think, well, definitely when I have children, I want it to be open communication, and my children should be able to express how they feel openly. And I would like to be able to express, hey, that made me mad. But I want them to be able to do the same thing with me. So definitely learn to teach your kids that you can create boundaries within family members. And honestly, once you start creating boundaries within those first relationships that you have, which is family and your parents, it'll just transfer over into your everyday life.
So what you're saying is the parent shouldn't be looking to a child to be consoled.
No.
No matter what age they are, they shouldn't lean on their child for sound advice. And I say that because there are some that do.
Yeah.
There's some that because there are some parents who get into an argument. And when they get into the argument, the first person they go to is their child, because not just to talk to them, but they go to their child for a hug.
Yeah.
Or they go to the child to just talk to them because that's their sounding board. I know that I can get love from my child. I know that, if I talk to my child about this certain thing, that I would hear something that I want to hear.
Yeah.
And in that, it makes that child feel like later on in life that they end up feeling like they have to be there for their parent. And that's all they know is, you know what, when mama and daddy was arguing, then she came to me. Now I got to be her support.
Yeah.
Because that's what I learned. So you would say that it would be important for parents to have a life outside of their children.
Yes, please. I am your life, Mom, but please go get you some friends. Please. I want you to stick to, I'm not one of your little friends. Stick to that, Mom. You're not.
So does that, but you like that. You like it to a degree.
Okay, so growing up, me and my mama were the same person. Yeah, I feel like she felt probably like she was raising herself.
Okay.
We had the same attitude. We had the same smart remarks. Everything. So it took me growing up and realizing that she actually knew what she was talking about. And I don't know everything. And your mouth may be smart, but there's somebody smarter than you. To realize that she was on my side and that I had a friend in her.
Okay.
So we didn't grow up as friends, I don't think. No.
So what about privacy? Is there like a limit? Do you feel like there should be a limit to privacy in your parents' home?
Yes and no. I feel like when I was younger, I definitely felt like my mama shouldn't be going through my phone. Okay. But she pays the bill. So
so
I felt like that as a child, but now that I'm older, a lot of things can be prevented.
Right.
If I say these kids like I'm
like
but if the children now didn't have as much privacy as they have,
right,
a lot of suicide could be prevented, like a lot of bullying could be prevented. Just so many situations could be prevented if the kids didn't have so much privacy. Like all these stories on the news that happens involving a child, you see the parents get on there and say, I had no idea this was going on. And all of the stuff is in their phones, or all the stuff is in a notebook in their room. Like I just don't think kids should have that much privacy. But I do think a level of privacy is, okay to, we are human beings. Like we need our own space.
Okay. So in these toxic relationships, some of the things that we just talked about can create a toxic relationship, not just between the child and the parent, but between a child and their friends and relationships that they may try to date or anything like that, because boundaries were never learned to be set. Privacy, there's no real understanding of privacy. Just not knowing how to be yourself in that, because when mama needed me, I was right there. When she needed a hug, I was right there, because now I'm giving her something to make her feel good. But what about me?
Yeah.
And then when you get up and get older, all you end up saying is, I need to go to mom.
Yeah.
And you're not open to talking to your partner.
Or you feel like you're, I don't want to say you feel like your partner's your counselor, but you just like dump everything on your partner, and now you're in a relationship and you're really only with this person because you think that they're your therapist.
Okay.
There's no other thing, like no other connection. You don't really listen to what they have to say because you're so busy talking about, oh, this is what I got going on. And
yeah. So Courtney said that she agreed to an extent that it's all there, but if there's a relationship created with boundaries, the child wouldn't be in their phone. They would feel safe enough to discuss it with their parent. And I got it. But it's the certain parents that know how to communicate to their child. Because every parent don't know how to hold a conversation with their child and make them feel like they can voice their opinion.
Well, and if they didn't grow up with that open line of communication, they don't know how to start that with their children.
Okay. And that's absolutely true, because I'll go for me. I was fearful to talk to my dad. And I was fearful with him because I didn't know how to talk to him, and I really didn't know what to say to him. And in that, it carried me over throughout my life. It brought about a fear of approaching people, because when I grew up, it was very strict of wait until, they stop talking before you ask questions.
Yeah.
Never, I was never taught to say excuse me or anything like that. It was wait until they stop talking. So when they stopped talking, I forgot. Most of the time because they're talking and they're talking and they're talking and they're talking. And now I'm like, when they gonna stop? So I forgot what I had to say. So, and that carried me over into my adult life, because and I'm serious, we would finish with a meeting and I need to go and talk to someone. And they're already talking to somebody. So I'm gonna stand there and wait. But then while I'm waiting, somebody else come up and catch him. That would make me mad. Like, I know you just saw me standing there waiting to talk to him, but here it is, you just jumped in. But then I had to understand that they would talk different. Their level of communication grew a lot faster than mine did.
The one thing that I appreciated about my dad is he always told us about how they didn't really have that like open line of communication. And they were kind of taught like you to wait. So he always made it clear that we could come talk to him about anything.
Right.
Now, whether we did that's up to us. But he always made himself like approachable.
Right.
Like, my kids can come and tell me anything. And for the most part, we come and tell him. But my mom was the same way too. She always made it to where we could express how we felt about something. And even if we didn't express, she would come and ask us, how did that make you feel? Or I guess it's just the therapist in her. Yeah. But she always made it to where it was like a safe space.
Okay. And I tried that. I tried to tell my kids when I began to learn how to communicate. I opened up the line of communication. So I was like, hey, when you feel like you need me to just talk to you, say, Dad, I need you to take your daddy hat off. That way, I'm like, okay, let me calm down and get an understanding of what's really going on. But I think because, I always had that stern look on my face, they always feared the approach. Yeah. But they now understand that it's so easy to come and talk to me, and they just come and they can get an understanding. We can get a better understanding. And that's why I try to teach them how to communicate and how to approach people now because I didn't want them to grow up where I am and feel like later on in life, now I got to learn how to approach people.
Yeah.
Now I'm afraid. Leah said that she feel like growing up, she wasn't always given the space because she think her parents didn't always have that growing up. Once they learn and boundaries were created, we were taught how to create and that's important because again, I used to hold so much against my dad until he passed. And when he passed, it's when I finally understood his level of communication.
Yeah.
He used to write things down on a notepad. When he passed, I went through his stuff, and the day I graduated from warrant officer school, I saw where he wrote down, "I'm proud of you, son." But he didn't tell me, but he wrote it down. A couple of times he missed telling me happy birthday. He wrote it on his pad, but he didn't tell me. And I'm like, this joker didn't tell me happy birthday, at that time. But then I had to learn that maybe his mind was slipping. Maybe he had so many things going on that he had to write it down. And if he looked at his notepad, it may jump on him to, let me tell him, say happy birthday. And that's what I learned. We had to stop holding a grudge against people because some of them don't know.
Yeah.
And if we continue to do that, all we're going to do is continue the generation of hating things because people don't understand. And of course, Courtney said the same thing. He made it easy to talk about anything, and that's important because you don't have a lot of people that take the time to allow their kids to talk about anything. A lot will say that, but they don't do.
Yeah.
And I have learned that that's because they don't know how to talk. Or, they just don't want to talk about it because they don't want their child to grow up fast.
Yeah.
But you can't stop it.
No.
It's what it is. And another thing that destructive relationships will cause is you not really knowing how to be you.
Yeah.
Because you won't know how to. All you would know is how to be there for mama, daddy, sister, brother, and you're just like, well, I don't know. Then you begin settling for anything.
Yeah.
Then you begin to just want acceptance. No matter what it is, you accept it because, well, maybe this is all I can get. Maybe this is all I can do. And I know that can be harmful for a young lady dating.
Yeah.
Because if you get a young man that's a smooth talker, and
that was this smooth.
I didn't say me. I said if you get one that's as they say, a city slicker, and that's what she want to hear, then it can cause issues. And now she's hurt because, well, I gave this joker all of this, and now he has run off. Another thing that this type of relationships, emotional enmeshment caused me was I avoid conflicts. I have never been one. And again, I would open up. I'm free to open up about who I was on here because I want to help somebody, and I want somebody, especially young men. I want young men to be able to come and talk so that we can same way that young women want to get on here and talk. Hey, I need some men on, some boys, young men, whoever, to come on here and let's talk. I grew up avoiding conflicts. One, because I really didn't know how to handle them. And if I had a conflict, the only thing I knew how to do was to stand tall and just be ready to go toe to toe or whatever it was. There was never any conflict resolution. I knew nothing about conflict resolution. It was either, hey, we're going to deal with it, or I'm just going to go my other way. I think being able to communicate with your parents or someone coming up can help you to avoid that.
I would say because I talk so much, I was confrontational.
Okay.
Like, I'm going to come to you. But also, I was used to talking so much, I never listened.
Okay.
So I'm confrontational, but you could be telling me the right thing to do.
But you're just going in one ear out the other.
One ear out, yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of, you got to have balance.
Okay. And I had even in conflicts, not knowing who I was, I took on the role of feeling responsible for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because that's all I knew. I knew that, or I felt that I had to be the one to be responsible for, Mary, Tom, and Brady,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I saw. And I didn't learn to be myself in any of that. And it has caused some issues because it's taken me years to find me and to be happy in things that I want to do. Because when I try to do something, in my mind, I'm always thinking about somebody else.
Yeah.
And even in that, you don't get a chance to pursue your own goals and your dreams because you put your dreams and goals on the back burner for everybody else around you. And I think that that's why we need to make sure that we fix these toxic relationships starting out. And you're at a very good point in your life to make the change for people ahead of you and people behind you, because somebody's going to listen. And to know that you've been through the things with guys at this age to where you can tell your younger sisters or your friends, hey, you know what? You don't have to deal with it. Find out who you are.
When I graduated from college, I definitely didn't know what my next move was. And I think I went through college and all of my life before college so focused on pleasing people that I had not never, but I couldn't remember the time that I had done something and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So after I graduated college, I moved to Texas and I moved with my mom's sister, and it was to help her, but she told me, I really want you to come down here and figure out what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I got down there and she was like, you need to go to nursing school. Like, let's get you signed up for nursing school. Got accepted, and I was like,
I'm not happy.
Don't want to be,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. So again, I was like, what are you gonna do? What do you want to do? So I really had to sit down and figure out, what does Jada want? Who is Jada outside of everything else, outside of everybody else, outside of what he thinks, she thinks? Like, what do you want? Who are you? And that is really when I found my passion for what I'm doing now. And the route that I was going in didn't pay much. So when I announced it, it was kind of like, you're not going to nursing school to do this? It was like, guys, this is what I want to do.
Right.
I found something that I'm passionate about, and this is what I'm going to do. So once I figured out what I wanted, who I was, it made dating definitely easier, and it made like the decisions that I make in life much easier.
And dealing with all of that gives you a fear of saying no. That's what it sounded like you had a fear of. And I suffer from that too, saying no. Because I felt like, if I said no, I'm letting people down.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm letting myself down because I can't solve all your problems. I haven't solved mine yet.
No.
So it takes that, again, breaking free from all those chains that are surrounded by you of something that you was holding on to
and creating
from a child.
Boundaries,
right?
To tell people, hey, this is my life. This is what I'm going to do. And if you love me, you'll support me.
So since you said that, and you are 25.
Almost
25. Okay, almost 25. At what age do you think it's age appropriate to say, this is my life, let me do it how I want to do it?
I think anytime you are paying your own bills, No, but before, if you can say it in a respectable way,
Right.
and you are making decisions that are sound and good,
Yeah.
then you should be able to tell the people that you love, hey, this is what I'm doing. And you don't gotta say, I'm grown, I can do what I want to. No,
Right.
but just tell them, hey, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I want to do. I've, sat down, took the time. And even if what you originally said is not it, and you decide to wake up the next day and say, hey, this is what I just think that as long as you are making progress and you are trying to do the best that you think you can do, then your family should support that.
Okay. So that communication will help your family to support and understand of what's going on. And if you don't have that communication, it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah.
And that's when people begin to just throw punches and be like, this is my life, I'm gonna live the way I want to live.
Yeah.
You either accept it or you don't.
Yeah.
And then, a week later you crawfishing back. Well, I didn't really mean it like that. I was mad and this, that, and the other. But hey, I understand. Healing from all of this, you have to learn who you are. And sometimes it takes some longer than others. Because if you got a late start in this game, and what I mean by a late start in this game, really understanding that you were broken in almost every relationship you was in, mama, daddy, sister, brother, auntie, cousin, best friend, best friend, best friend, best friend, best friend, best friend, best friend. You was broken, and all you say is, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Everybody else is the problem. But now you really need to look at yourself and be like, you know what, let me step back and take a look in the mirror. And, some people may say, well, why is all of this important? It's important because in order for you to grow and be prosperous and live a healthy and a better life, be happy, then you have to clean this up. Because when you're toxic, you live a miserable life.
Yeah.
You hate to get up in the morning. You don't want to be around people. You don't want to do nothing. All you want to do is say, oh, man, why she wear that? I don't know. Why? What you mean I look good? Well, he's just giving you a compliment. He just wants you to know that you look good.
Yeah.
He's not. Just because someone gives you a compliment don't mean that they are really trying to, approach you in that. Man, they just want to let you know because they may feel like you're going through something. But when you got somebody that's so toxic and full of, hate, then they're gonna.
It really doesn't have to be hate either. When you so filled with your problems, everybody else's problems, and just stuff, it can make you become a person that you didn't even know you could be.
So what made you accept those problems?
I know for me, I definitely feel like I take on the role of I'm gonna fix everybody's problems. So just naturally, people that I don't even know just spill everything. Ma'am, I just said, hey, I didn't. But I think that because that's who I am, people find comfort in me. So I had to learn how to not carry all that stuff. Like, kind of let it go in one ear and out the other, in a sense, so that I wouldn't hold on to so much junk. It took a long time because my dad is that same way.
Right.
So I wasn't really taught how to decompress or, let all that stuff go. So it took me learning, like, I can't hold on to all this stuff. And finding an outlet that was safe.
I'm glad you added that on the end, safe.
To kind of get rid of everything,
right.
To detox.
So how would you encourage other young people to find a safe outlet?
Honestly, I thought about the fact that I had no hobbies.
Okay.
I had to find me a hobby. I started coloring in adult coloring books.
Okay.
And that was my first kind of, this is peaceful. And then after that, it was just like simple stuff, like taking a bath, like sitting down in the tub, soaking,
Clear
like
your mind.
really anything that after you find out what you like, it's so easy to find like peace in like the smallest things to help you just.
Yeah. I know for me, when I really started finding that peace, I would be at work and we had a lake and the sun would hit the lake at the right point. And around lunchtime, when I needed to really decompress, I would go sit at the lake. Sometime I would take my Bible out there. Sometime I'd take my tablet, write, read, listen to music. And sometimes I just sit out there in the truck and fall asleep. But it was a way to decompress. And, a lot of times now in that, I get on my tractor. And, I would tear stuff up or something like that just to let it out and release it. And I feel better. But, you have to, like I said, you have to find something safe. Now, sometimes doing that with the tractor is not cheap because then you end up tearing up stuff that you don't need to tear up. But being able to find something safe can be hard for a lot of young people today because of the influence that they see on social media and the things that they feel like, I'm doing this because it calms me down. Well, you can have more than one avenue of peace in that.
Another thing that I had to do when I feel so just overwhelmed with just junk, I have to come off social media. Even you may think that, I'm just looking at this, just you internalize some of that stuff. Right. So every once in a while I come off for a month, maybe even more, just to like focus. Yeah. And then I don't feel the need to, let me see what she got going on. Or even to share what I'm doing. I have gotten so much, and it's not that I feel distracted, but sometimes I get on there and I'm not even looking at the stuff. Yeah. I'm just doing it just because that's what I'm used to doing. I'm just used to doing it. I'm not even looking at the stuff. Somebody will say, "You saw what I posted? You said you looked at it." I didn't see that.
My finger hit like going up. I don't know. See that.
Yeah. So I get off. I needed to decompress from that, from being everybody having access or me having access to everybody's everything. So that I know we love social media, but
it's kind of like one of those things I talked about a couple weeks ago: self-destructive behavior. Excuse me. That's one that can cause self-destruction. Social media. Now, granted, there are people that make money off social media, and they do that. But then they also have a PR person that posts for them. They're not the ones that really post. Yeah. So we can get some of those things confused. Seeking help. Did you have to seek help, or you just kind of figured it out on your own?
So the first time, I did because it caused anxiety.
Right.
And I was like, I'm having mood swings. I am crying one minute and then I'm happy and I'm not being myself.
Right.
So at that time I had to say, okay, something's not right and I need to figure it out. And the very first therapist that I had, she gave me the prayer of serenity.
Okay.
And she told me, get off of, like take a break from social media, take a break from people. Yeah. And just, that's when I started coloring too.
Okay.
Find you something that helps bring you serenity. So, and then after that, I could see that behavior kind of start happening again. And that's when I knew, okay,
what you need.
I need to refocus and take some time off to get back to myself.
Right. Do you think that you can be too close to your family?
Yes. That's why I moved to Texas. I love my family, but I have a huge family, which means on both sides, a huge family with a lot of different opinions, a lot of different advice, and a big influence. And growing up in the church, we were all taught one thing. Right. So it's kind of like what do I do?
Yeah.
I have all these different opinions, all this different doctrine, all everybody's, I had to figure out, okay, aside from my family and what they think or what this person might say, even family, I had to forget what they, kind of not forget, but I had to kind of tone it out to figure out, like, okay, what do you want? Who are you outside of your family?
Right.
Even?
Yeah.
So,
and then, a lot of times we do get caught up in being the person in the family. And then you don't even know how to act outside of the walls of your family or anything like that. I'm not going to say you're nothing, but it's just like, what do I do?
Yeah.
How do I function? Because
my
I'm so
mama not
used
here
to
what I'm supposed to do.
I'm so used to always being called on. But I think it is important because we go year after year after year, routine. Thanksgiving, we know we're gonna do this. Christmas, we know we're gonna do this. This it's always this is what we're gonna do, and you never can grow outside of that because,
and that's not tradition. That is, we always did
insanity.
this way, cause mama and them was doing it. What do you like?
Right.
You might not like holiday food.
Right.
So it definitely had to come outside of what you knew the comfort of. Definitely my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Definitely had to come out of there.
And if you don't learn how to come out of it, then growing will be hard because you won't know how to give your kids something different because you're kind of scarce. It's like, I don't really know how to go to Disney World for Christmas because we go to Momo house, for Christmas. Something
well,
like
even
that.
with working, when I moved, I was working before. I was used to them saying, "Oh, you Lisa's daughter," or "Oh, you Sam's daughter." Yeah, you good people. Come on, we'll get you in. So when I got to a job interview and they didn't know my mama or my daddy, I was like, y'all know this? Okay.
It's a little tougher now.
So when they asked, "Who's Jada?" Lisa and Sam's daughter. I don't know. I had to figure out, what do I tell these people?
Yeah.
I can't call my mom and say, "Mama, what am I supposed to say?" They just asked me. I had to figure out, who are you? Yes, you are their daughter. Yes, you are pastor. You all that. But who are you? I had to figure that out. And that helped me create my own business relationships, my own friendships, because it wasn't, I'm friends with my family.
Yeah.
I got my cousins.
Right.
I had to figure out how to do all of that. And honestly, from what I was taught, taking that and figuring out who I was and putting those together, it really helped me.
Helped you out a whole lot. Yeah, because you can get caught up. You can get caught up in just being everybody within one person. That makes it hard for you to really branch out and be who you want to be. And you can continue that toxicity in you for years because of that. You don't know how to step out. You don't know how to move forward. Man, I really want to move to Alaska, but ain't nobody will come visit me. And move to Alaska if you want to move to Alaska. If you don't like it, come back. But toxic relationships, in the family, your friends, the church, work, just relationships, period. I think that we have to do a better job with creating those boundaries. Because if we don't create those boundaries, we're going to continue to learn lessons that we need to unlearn. And we already have enough lessons that we don't learn right now.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't want to address the fact that there are lessons that they don't learn because they feel like, well, that's the way we've always done it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing to do, or it helps create a positive environment. Because when you don't know how to be yourself, or be creative, or how to just step out and do something new and different, when your mind gets to where you get depressed and full of anxiety, you have nothing to lean to.
Yeah.
Because all you know was family. But guess what? That family has started going to Disney World for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
That family has started visiting other people for Christmas. And now you sitting there like, well, everybody used to come. They don't come now.
Yeah.
Depression set in. Why they don't come?
Yeah.
Nobody talks to me the way. Well, it's time for a change. It's time to build us so we can unlearn some things that have hurt us throughout the years. And a lot of that falls within our family history. Some people say, well, why are you talking about your family? I'm not talking about my family like that. I'm just saying we need to make changes.
Yeah.
And it's very important because we say we want change. We say we want something new and different, but we continue to do the same thing over and over again. But if you never get out there and learn from somewhere else, you never do anything different. Because I'm sure when you moved to Texas, it may have been scary, but then when you got there, it's freed up. And you was able to just roam and do whatever you needed to do and have a good time and not worry about, ain't you Sam's daughter?
Yeah. Definitely.
I think that due to the lack of emotional and physical boundaries in the homes, this is where we are today.
Yeah.
And not a blame, not pointing fingers saying, you're wrong, and you're wrong. We're pointing out the fact that that's what's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for us to get to where we need to go and make those changes, we got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it starts with conversations like this and be able to recognize and understand, because somebody will hear it and say, you know what? That's what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm dealing with. And they'll try to find a way to make it better. They'll find a way to, do better and not continue to accept the things that they don't need to accept, because life is short. Mm-hmm. It's time to enjoy yourself. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, why do it?
Yeah.
If you're not enjoying the people that you're with or the people you're around, why be around them? Mm-hmm. Go to your house and soak in your tub, or yes. Whatever you want to do.
Take a bath.
Be at peace. You don't have to do those things if you don't want to. And if they get mad, oh well. It's not helping you grow spiritually. It's not helping you grow mentally. It's not helping you grow physically.
And everything that will help you is going to start off very uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
So being alone, when you cut all those people off, being alone for that short period of time is definitely not going to be easy, but it's going to be so worth it when you find or you get with those people that are for you mm-hmm. and have your best interests at heart, and they actually enjoy doing the things that you enjoy. Right. It's going to be really worth it.
Right. And as we talked about, dating at the front part of it, that's also important when you begin to date.
Yeah.
Today, because you have to realize that person that you're dating, though they may look like the glass of water that you want, but when that glass is almost empty, do they know how to fill themselves back up? Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to fill yourself back up, how can you expect me to fill you up when you don't know how mm-hmm. to do it?
And when you get in those relationships where you're doing all the pouring, you're going to be left real empty. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, they are going to leave.
Right.
They're going to be all filled up
mm-hmm.
and they're going to leave, and you're going to be left empty.
Right. And that is, again, that's not just,
your boyfriend,
girlfriend,
your friends
or whoever.
Yeah.
So make sure that, it's y'all on the same sheet of music. If I can pour, you can pour. Mm-hmm. And if the people that you're surrounded by are not pouring into you, then you really need to check it.
Yeah.
So, emotional enmeshment. Toxic relationships. There's so much that we can go into with toxic relationships. I was hoping, Lisa would have been here, and I know she likes to dive in and get real deep into it. But we will revisit this next week. I will post some of the key points and notes that I have if you want to find out how to heal from it. Some of the steps that you can, do to stay away from people that are toxic. How to address, how to know or identify someone that's toxic in your life that's
Mhm.
not doing you any good. You know, there are things out there that you can, look for. There are signs. They just say red flags, but there are signs that you can see or know here that, you know what, this person don't have my best interest, and I might just, better.
And don't ignore
That
the
way.
red flags. They are not pointing you to the amusement park. These flags steer clear. This is not a red flag saying, come, look what we got.
This is
No,
the end of the race.
no. Don't, no, not an amusement park. It's not fun.
Now, since you said about the red flags, people have to make sure they understand red flags, because you can have a red flag about anything, and you can be petty about a red flag,
Yeah,
and it not really be a red flag. It's just
you're toxic. You are the problem.
So you have to kind of really understand what you're saying when you say a red flag.
If everything is a red flag, it is you. You are the red flag. It's not me, it's you.
So so let us be cautious of all the red flags you see in everybody,
Yourself included.
Let's begin to build healthy boundaries and get an understanding. You should have a boundary. Everyone that you're with, every relationship that you're in should have a boundary. Because if not, someone's going to overstep. And if you haven't created the boundaries, maybe now is the time that you do so.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure that you can get to peace. You want to make sure that you can be peaceful, rest well at night, and not be so worried about what they said or what they did. It's easy for people to say, "I'm not worried about it," but then when they go to bed, they toss and turn. Now it's on your mind because you're sitting idle, with nothing to do, because you really have no idea of who you are, because everybody that you was around was toxic. So now everything that toxic, all those bubbles are bubbling, and you have nothing no alcohol seltzer to settle it down. So let us find and build healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries in the church. Healthy boundaries in the church. Healthy boundaries at home. Healthy boundaries at work. Healthy boundaries in your car.
Yeah, in your car.
Create those boundaries. And again, a lot of people may say, well, that's not really it is very relevant. It's very relevant to your spiritual life. Because if you're not healthy, you don't have those boundaries, you can't be a total you. You can't be what God created you to be because you're so full of stuff.
Also, if you so full of that, you can't hear what he's trying to tell you. And then when you need help, you can't realize that you need help to come get help. So yeah.
Hey, we thank Jada for joining us. And before we close, how's the business going?
Business is business.
Business is business. Yeah, I understand that. And in case we have some new listeners, tell us about your business before we close.
I have a business here in Macomb for children with autism, like mental delays, speech delays, and behavior issues. I treat those kids on Saturdays, and you can contact me if you need a consult for your child.
Absolutely. And those are boundaries that you create by getting that help.
Yeah.
Because it's necessary. That's necessary. And if that child has siblings, it's necessary that you get those siblings some help to understand what their sister or brother's going through. Because they have to be the protector for their sisters and brothers, especially if they're around the same age. Because a lot of kids don't understand how to talk to, children that have disabilities with learning. So the help is here. The help is there. All you need to do is make sure that you reach out and ask for help. Healthy boundaries, toxic relationships. Get some help. It's here. It's there. It's everywhere. Hey, we thank you guys for joining us on tonight. We hope to be back next week with more on toxic relationships. And again, I will post some things about the toxic relationships that you can add to your toolbox to kind of help you see what you need to see or what you don't see. Not all red flags, caution lights. Hey, we thank you and we love you, and have a good night.